So on this video, we're going to discuss the round-robin algorithm and how to use it to get the average waiting time and the average turning time. So as we can see here, we have three columns, mainly the process ID, and the next two columns is its corresponding arrival time and burst time. So let's begin. To continue here, as we can see, P1, P2, P3, P4, P5 has its value, which is based on its burst time. And next, here on this part, we have the time slice, or what we are going to use to to create the graph, which is value of 2. So maybe you will ask why we have here 0 to number 14. This is because when we add the value of P1 to P5, which is 5, 3, 1, 2, and 3, we will get the value of 14, which is the basis of our graph. So let's begin. First, P1 will enter P1. So here, P1, which is the initial value of 5, will become 3 and will follow. P2 will follow. So here's P2. Then the original value of 3 of P2 will become now a value of 1, the remaining value. Then next, the P3 will also enter, followed by following P2, P3 here. So as you can see, there is no remaining value for P3 here. This is here is the P1, then here is P2, but now they've changed, which is this is now their new value, 1 and 3. But as you can see, as I've said earlier, P3 1 already has no remaining value. So now we will continue, and so based on the round robin rules, we will continue here in P1 again. P1 will resume and count also using the time slice value here. So P1, and again P1 will have a remaining here. P1 will have a remaining 1, value of 1. Then next, P4 will enter here. P4 will enter from 7 to 9. Then followed by, and again, to highlight this, P4 now has no value already and stops here in 9 because P4 only has 2 value and the time slice is also 2. So they are now balanced or equal. Followed by P5 will also enter here, P5, but unlike P4 and P2, and now rather P3, unlike P4 and P3, P5 also still have a remaining value of 1. So after that, since we will continue here. We will continue. P2 will resume, which has a value of 1. So P2 will resume here. P2. Then next, we will continue the process until all values become 0. So P1 will enter again. P1 will enter again here. So P1 from 12 to 13. Then now it has no value just like the others, but P5 still has 1. So the process will continue, which is last one. 13 to 14 will be the P5. So here now, we completed the chart. So we can start the computation by getting the value needed for application. So as our goal to get the turnaround time and waiting time, to get the turnaround time, we have to subtract arrival time from this arrival time to the completion time, and also in waiting time, to get this, we have to subtract burst time to turnaround time. So first, let's get the completion time of the chart here. So as you can see here, we have table, and for us to be able to compute for the value that we needed, we have to list first the completion time of this process ID. So in P1, it enters in 0 but ends in 13. So the completion time is 13, and P2 has its completion time of 12 here. 12, followed by P3, which already ended here in P5. In 5. So its completion time is 5. Then P4. P4 here, it ends in 9. Then lastly, the P5, which ends, of course, on the last part of our graph, number 14. So now that we have now the completion time, next, the turnaround time. But how can we compute for that value here? As I've said earlier, to get the turnaround time, we have to subtract the arrival time from completion time. So here we needed the arrival time here, the arrival time, and also of course the completion time. First, let's list the completion time first. 13, 12, 5, 9, and 14. Then we just list the arrival time value, which is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Then we subtract. 13 minus 0 is 13. 12 minus 1 is 11. 5 minus 2 is 3. 9 minus 3 is 6. 14 minus 4 is equals to 10. So now that we have now the value of turnaround time, so I am sure that we can now find the value of waiting time, which has a formula of turnaround time minus the burst time. So Again, we list the value of turnaround time, which is 13, 11, 3, 6, and 10. And then we subtract it from the burst time here. The burst time of the process IDs. Burst time is 5, 3, 1, 2, 3. And then we get the value 13 minus 5 is 8. 11 minus 3 is equals to also 8. Is it correct? Yes. Is it correct? It is correct. Then 3 minus 1 is equals to 2. 6 minus 2 is equals to 4. And lastly, 10 minus 3 is equals to 7. So, for the last phase of this computation, to get the average turnaround time, we now add the value of turnaround time, of course, 13 plus 11 plus 3 plus 6 plus 10. Then after that, we divide to 5 to get the value, which is 8.6 units. Then, same with the process to get the average turnaround time, we also add the value of waiting time, which is 8 plus 8 plus 2 plus 4 plus 7, and also we divide it to 5. Then we'll get 5.8 units. So now here is our average turnaround time, which is 8.6 units, and lastly the average waiting time, which is 5.8 units. So that's how we use round robin algorithm to get the average turnaround time and average waiting time. Thank you and good luck.